Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman. Joining me today, Kyle Porter. We are doing essentially a podcast we do not want to do, KP. We are talking about Tiger Woods and the car crash that he was involved in on Tuesday morning in Los Angeles. So we're gonna cover that. But welcome in.
Hey, yeah, I think one of the things. So this is hard because something happens and it's like immediately, okay, what's everybody's reaction? And that's just sort of the world we live in, and that's fine. Like, that is what it is. But it's like, I don't know, man. What do you want me to say? Like,
Right.
And that's not like this is the business that we're in, and I'm that this is what we do. This is what we're supposed to do. But it sucks. Like, it just sucks.
It does suck. We're not going to speculate here. We'll just go with what we've got at the moment. And obviously with the understanding that this is kind of an ever-changing situation. So from what we understand from the LA County Sheriffs at 7:12 on Tuesday morning, Tiger Woods was involved in a single vehicle rollover traffic collision. He was the only occupant. He was the only car involved in this crash. And KP, it took the jaws of life to get him out. So if you've seen the picture, so it's kind of weird how this evolves, right? Is you see the report and you're like, well, I hope that report is wrong. And then you see the photo and then you start seeing the video. And when you see the photos of the car, when you see the video of the car, I mean, it's bad. It's an ugly crash. It's way off the road, and the jaws of life were needed to get him out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a clip of the helicopter kind of following the path of the car. I think I retweeted it, and that's the one that you're like, whoa, like, that's terrifying, because it's sort of like, I think it goes over to the other side, and then it goes past this like light pole and down this hill, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, this is I don't know. It's hard to talk about this without knowing like what the outcome is going to be, but I think we can all say that it was shocking. I was on a call with, unrelated to CBS, I was on a call with some guys, some friends, and I didn't even explain. I just left. Like, I didn't even explain to them like where I was. I typed like Tiger was in a car wreck, and then I just like left the Zoom call. And I think that's kind of how all of us reacted to, how this went down.
I hate the lazy parallel is to compare this to Kobe Bryant, which obviously, and fingers crossed, we are getting like a vastly different outcome of that. But I would be lying if I wasn't like, oh my God, like, I felt the same way, right? Like, it's the unconfirmed report, and then news starts coming out, and you don't know where this is going to end up. And that's the phase we're in right now. We don't know. We have Mark Steinberg, Tiger's agent, on record. Here's the statement. Tiger Woods was in a single car accident this morning in California where he suffered multiple leg injuries. He's currently in surgery, and we thank you for your privacy and support. So Tiger's in surgery. We don't know the outcome. We don't know the extent. The injuries have been described as moderate to critical is the way they're being described right now. And it might be hours before we get an update. It might be days before we know the extent. And then, obviously it'll be weeks and months or whatever. So this is the very beginning of something like this.
Yeah. And I think that, I think the weird part about his statement is like, I think you can assume he's in surgery for the leg stuff, but is that what he's in? Like, there's just so much speculation and rumor. I think the good news is here's what I'll say is good news. People I've talked to sort of behind the scenes, not on the record, it seems like the long-term outlook is optimistic. So
as a human, right? Like, that's first and foremost. It's like, this is not golf related at all. This is like, as a human.
Yeah, I don't care about the golf. I mean, the golf is like, okay, we can talk about it in September or next January or whatever. But yeah, right now I'm talking like long-term outlook as just living life.
Right. Yeah. It's one of these things where Tiger Woods very clearly transcends golf, transcends sport. This is immediately international news everywhere. The images are shocking. I'm glad you brought up when they got the helicopter on scene and they're like pulling back and showing you like the whole thing. You're like, wow, this is like, I didn't know what to expect, but I did not expect this. So this kind of, stops the world a little bit, but it doesn't stop PGA Tour press conferences apparently, Kyle, because JT was basically doing a presser while all this was happening. And obviously, as you can imagine, shockwaves going through PGA Tour players. JT he was basically fighting back tears saying, just hope he's okay. It's going to be difficult for everybody. It's going to be difficult for the kids. I'm thinking about his children right now.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's thinking about. And yeah, I mean, we don't need to get into how absurd that was. The guy that I actually thought of when I was thinking about this is Homa. So he tweets out, we didn't talk about this on the podcast on Sunday, but he had an all-time tweet on Sunday night when he said, "Hey, I went to this tournament for 12 years hoping to get Tiger's high five, and he just gave me a trophy." And you're like, wow, sick. He has to be a little shook up, right? Like, because he was like literally shaking hands with Tiger on Sunday, getting a trophy, and then this happens, and you'll see that, I think, from all those guys in like this week, whenever the tournament, I don't even know what day it is right now, but whenever the tournament unfolds, those guys love Tiger, and not just in a like, oh, he's a mythical figure type way, but they actually like really just like playing golf with him, and I think that's, we've talked about it, like the evolution of that for Tiger late in his career it's been cool to watch.
It really has been. I mean, Justin Thomas actually, I think, described him as like one of my best friends, which is, a statement that if you told me 10 years ago another player on the PGA Tour would have said about Tiger Woods, I would have said you were absolutely crazy. That's never going to happen. And just to kind of illustrate how much this story is evolving, in the 7 minutes that we've been on, the sheriff's department is now backing off using the jaws of life as being used to get Tiger out, and are also saying that he was conscious when they got him out of the car. So that's good news. And again, further illustrates that we don't know anything. We are wildly speculating about what's happening now.
Yeah, the conscious part squares up with kind of what I heard as well, which is good. It doesn't, it doesn't mean everything, but I think that's definitely a good sign, because I don't know. I don't care about the Masters in 2021 as relates to Tiger, right? Like, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. We're talking about, like, is he, like, what's his, condition right now in surgery? And again, yeah, we're just sitting here. Honestly, like, I think we're just sort of like sitting here talking about, like, just as sort of a cathartic thing. Like, this is just what we do, and that's probably what people listening are like. Hey, I just want to hear people talk about Tiger, what's going on, And I think that can be meaningful. I think that can be important.
I think it can too. And, before we put a bow on it, and obviously there is much more to talk about, which we will be covering. It is also, it's one thing, right? Like, the jarring aspect of it, but like, we just saw Tiger, right? Like, we just saw him, like, Sunday, he was with Jim Nantz giving an interview. He's with Dwayne Wade and David Spade on Monday. This happens Tuesday morning. Like, I don't know if that makes it obviously doesn't make it better or worse. It just makes it different because we just saw this guy. Like, I don't know. It's so strange. And then to wake up to this news on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. And I think that anytime, I don't know, like when he had when he got his spine fused in 2017, like, I hadn't seen Tiger in like a year. We hadn't seen him since, or I don't know, it wasn't a year, but it was several months. And so, yeah, it certainly feels weird and different. And I don't know. I'm interested. I hope that what comes out of this is good, and for him, JT was talking about his kids, which is obviously the most meaningful part of all of this. And so, yeah, I just hope for the best for all of that.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. We don't have any more information. We're not going to sit here and speculate. Obviously, there's going to be future updates and a lot more of them coming down the line. That's Kyle Porter. I'm Rick Gehman. Talk to you soon.